There are so many stories that flow through the NBA history that sometimes you think some of them are almost too good to be true. That some of these stories have to be some sort of myth instead of a fact that some people proclaim. But today, in this video, we are going to be looking at some of the wildest takes about NBA history to prove whether they are a hot take or a straight up fact. Starting with Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. Wilt Chamberlain set the single game scoring record by scoring 100 points for the Philadelphia Warriors in a 169-147 win over the New York Knicks on March 2, 1962. It is widely considered one of the greatest records in the sport's history. That season, Chamberlain averaged a single season record of 50 points per game. He broke the NBA single game scoring record earlier in the season in December with 78 points. The third-year center had already set scoring records in his first two seasons. When Wilt scored that 100-point game, the game was not televised, and no video footage of the game has since been recovered. There are only audio recordings of the game's fourth quarter. The NBA was not yet recognized as being a major sports league and struggled to compete against college basketball. The attendance at the game was approximately half of capacity, and no members of the New York press were at the game. Now, if it wasn't for actual personal accounts and witnesses of the game, I would have said that they could have faked the audio recording. But because there were a group of people that had the same account, it does solidify the story more into a fact than fiction. By the end of the 1992-93 season, Michael Jordan stood alone on top of the NBA mountain. After winning his third consecutive championship at only 30 years old, he had established himself as one of the greatest players in NBA history. Then, right in the middle of his prime, he declared he was walking away from the game he loved. Many conspiracy theorists will tell you that the league forced him into retiring because of his so-called problem with gambling. There are a couple instances that were very suspicious, of course, and could solidify that as a fact, like when Jordan was called to a 1992 trial against a convicted drug dealer because of a personally signed check for $57,000 that the drug dealer had in his possession. Or the self-admitted book of a San Diego businessman that told the world he won over $900,000 off of Michael Jordan because of how many games of golf he won against him. After the Bulls won their third championship, the NBA launched an investigation into Jordan's gambling problems to check whether he had violated any league rules. Then, 4 months later, Jordan stunned the world by suddenly retiring from professional basketball. To add the cherry on the cake to this conspiracy, only days after Jordan announced his retirement, the league dropped its investigation, saying he did nothing wrong. Was there a secret agreement between Jordan and Stern, where Stern told him to simply retire and create a distraction so that he wouldn't face a suspension and have his marketable name stay clean? We all know the quote-unquote story of why he moved to go play baseball, and because it was a sport his father loved and he was doing it for the wishes of his late father. But personally, I don't think that someone so competitive like Michael Jordan would ever walk away from creating a dynasty that was becoming of the Chicago Bulls. Keeping on the topic of Michael Jordan, have you ever wondered what it would be like if the Portland Trail Blazers never passed on the opportunity to draft Michael instead of Sam Bowie? We know why Portland chose Bowie. The Blazers had a talented wing player named Clyde Drexler, and they believed that they needed a center. Big man played a prominent role in a team's success in that era of the NBA, and teams drafted more on need than talent. GM of the Blazers at the time didn't even consider bringing Jordan to the team, and because of that choice, he may have made the worst decision ever, because as we all know, Jordan would go on to win 6 rings, and while he did that because of a great team of role players as well as an amazing coach, I believe that he could have done the same with virtually any team because Michael Jordan was that good. And I believe that if he was drafted to the Blazers, then the organization would absolutely be idolized like the Bulls were in that era. The next one here is no myth, but it's definitely no fact either, as some people claim that you have to be tall in order to play in the NBA. And as you know, this is just straight up not true, as many short players have been blessed on the court in amazing fashion. And when I say short, I mean shorter than 6 feet tall. The prime example that everyone will run to is Muggsy Bogues, who stood at just 5'3", which is 6 inches shorter than the male average. Not to mention other short players like Spud Webb and Nate Robinson, who stood at 5'6" and 5'9", and both have won a slam dunk contest. So yes, while it may be difficult to get into the NBA being shorter, it is not impossible, especially if you have the athleticism to show for it. Now this last one I have is a bit controversial and may tick some of you guys off, especially the Boston diehards. But there are people out there who actually believe that Bill Russell won 11 rings because he was playing against people who were plumbers, farmers, etc. But this part is only partly true. While Bill did play against these types of players who had another job other than the NBA, it doesn't take away from the talent he played against. Look at George Mikan for a great example. A very good center for his time in the NBA, but decided to retire at 30 to focus on his law practice. People in those times of the NBA who weren't the best of the best didn't make the kind of money that those types of players make today. Hence why they had to go get a second job to make up for it. And while the NBA has grown a lot talent-wise, I still think that prime Bill Russell would be able to hold his own in today's NBA. But that's it for this one. Before I end it off though, I want to know, what are some takes or theories that you think I should have added to this video? Thank you as always for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. See you in the next one.